We are going to discuss initial configuration in this visuals. Well, we are going to attempt lab for setting initial configurations of router. We have discussed a lot of concepts. Now let's start our practical work from this visuals. Well, before we configure our router for initial configurations, we first have to configure a terminal emulator so that we can access the router. I have plugged my router through console cable, everything is work, power is on, but I have to configure a terminal emulator. So I mentioned some terminal emulators, so we are going to use these terminal emulators. One of these terminator, these one are to me kind of famous. You can use these ones if you want to. I'm going to show you which one you like. Just use that one. Okay, at the top it is PuTTY. PuTTY is free, it is open source. You can find PuTTY, just go to google.com, you're going to get the link of PuTTY. Teraterm is also open source, it is free. Just go to google.com, you're going to find Teraterm. Hyperterminal comes with Windows. For example, just go to if you're using Windows XP or server, go to start menu, programs, under programs go to accessories. There under communications you're going to find this hyperterminal program. So let's configure these programs so that we can access the router so that we can configure router. For our objectives we have to configure some initial configurations. So let's discuss these the configuration of these terminal emulators. Okay, here you can see icons of these three terminal emulators. It is Hyperterminal, it is PuTTY, it is Teraterm. So let's see how Hyperterminal is configured. Just enter the name of this connection, name anything what you want to, just enter. Great, okay, it will be work. Icon is okay, press OK. Now you have to configure which connection you're using. You can use COM3. I've plugged console. I'm using I have plugged my router through console port, so it is plugged in my PC's serial port. Just use such communication port 1 will be working for me. Just press OK. Here you can see you have to configure these settings to this one. Bits per second should be 9600, data bits must be 8, parity none, stop bits 1, flow control must be none. Okay, press OK here, your router is connected. Now press enter, you can see configurations. You can see your router is working here. Now this is the default program of Windows. You can use Hyperterminal if you do not want to use Hyperterminal. Just close this connection now. Yes, no. Okay, now let's see how PuTTY looks like. Just I open the PuTTY, select your serial port. You can see speed is 9600, serial line is COM1. You can check the settings here, same settings which we have showed you for Hyperterminal. 9600, 8 bits, data bits, stop bits 1, non, X on off. Now press open here, your terminal emulator going to start. It is PuTTY, press enter. Okay, things are working quite nicely. Well, this was PuTTY. Okay, now let's see how Teraterm looks like. To me it is kind of very decent one. Just select your serial, COM1 communication port is working, press OK, press enter, and here you are. So this is how we configure our terminal emulator. Use any of these one, or search down if you find anyone more better or according to your likings. Okay, now we have configured our terminal emulators, so let's start our initial configurations. Before initial configurations, we will discuss iOS commands, the way iOS is used, the help of iOS, things like that. But before this, let me restart my router so that we can see the booter process and flash memory and things like that. So let's restart my router. Okay, now booter process is completed. Now let me show you. Okay, this was the whole booter process, like bootstrap and things like that, loading flash, NVRAM, thing like that, which we have discussed. Okay, this is my 2610 router. It is showing Cisco 2610 and it has 32 MB of RAM and 8 MB of flash, where we install or copy our iOS. Okay, it has only single Ethernet port, as it is showing 32 MB of single Ethernet port, 32 KB of non-volatile configuration. It is startup configuration, loads every time when router starts to running config. It is our flash memory 8192. Now everything is working up and go. Just press enter, you will be in your user exec mode. So this arrow is representing that we are under user exec mode. Well, user exec mode is very limited. We do not stay here. We just, to me it is kind of welcome, you're welcome. Okay, so we do not stay here, we just go to privilege exec mode. Okay, how we go to privilege exec mode? Just press write enable, press enter. Now we are under privileged exec mode. This number sign is representing that we are under privileged access mode. Well, under privileged access mode, it provides access to router commands. Mostly what we do here, we view the configurations, we perform debugging functions and things like that, mostly pinging and stuff like that, not more than that. When we require to configure our router, we have to go to global configuration mode. How we go to global configuration mode? We have to type here configure space terminal and press enter. Now we are under global configuration mode. Well, under global configuration mode, all configurations made under global configuration mode, like routing protocols configurations, routing configurations, static routing configurations, access control list, network address translation, and we go to our interfaces through by using global configuration modes and stuff like that. So whenever just think like that, whenever we configure our router, we have to come in global configuration mode. For viewing the configurations, privileged mode, and user exec mode kind of very limited, the pinging and very limited. We do not stay here under user exec mode, just it's kind of welcoming. Okay, thank you, press enter enable, press enter, you are under privileged exec mode. We stay mostly under privileged exec mode. Viewing the configuration, whenever we require to configure, we enter configure via terminal and just performs the functions, implement your configurations and things like that. Now we are under global configuration modes. Now let's discuss how we can exit out of this mode. There are 2 or 3 ways. Number one would be just press CTRL press Z and you're out of that mode. You're out of global configuration mode. Well, let me get into that mode again. Configure via terminal, enter. Okay, now another way, just press exit. Okay, now you're out of global configuration command. Another way is end. If you press end, you're totally out of such modes. Whenever, for example, if you're under interface mode or things like that, it will exit to you back. Will exit to you and make you available here under privileged exec mode. Mostly we use CTRL plus Z so that we can get out of that particular mode. Okay, now this is how we exit from such modes. Now let's discuss such functions. We have discussed functions of iOS help, just putting the question mark on and anywhere you're going to see what commands iOS providing at that space. Now we are under this space at the very beginning. So press question mark here. You're going to see which commands are supported at this space, which commands must be typed here. So you can see here, you can see more signal. Just press enter, one line is coming. Press enter, one line is coming. Press spacebar, the whole page is coming. Press any key except from space and enter, your exit of that list. And for example, just as I told you, configure. Now you don't know Where to go after configure? Press question mark here. Okay, you see the options here. Now to go to global configuration mode, the command is configure via terminal. Okay, just type T. You can see T is unique in this list. There's only 4 options. You press T, now press tab. It will recognize that the network engineer or student or something like that looking for configure via terminal. So I entered terminal, press enter. You are under global configuration. Well, such things are used when you're very fast and just typing the few words, so that iOS recognize that it is unique, and press tab and you are up to go. And there's another way you can use shorts. For example, press shorts. It will recognize that short type enough words so that iOS recognize that conf means configure and T means terminal. So it will recognize us by typing conf T. iOS recognizes that the user is looking for configuration terminal command. You can use shorts also. It is also very nice feature, just typing shorts and entering your mods and configuring your stuff. Okay, now we are under global configuration mode. Let's get back to user exact mode, then come back here. Kind of quick review. Okay, disable, make us back to user exact mode. Now we logged in here under user exact mode. Press enable, short is okay, in en okay. Now we are under global configuration mode. Press conf T. Now we were under privileged exact mode. Now by entering configure via terminal, now we are under global configuration mode. Now here we made our configuration. So let's discuss some initial commands, starting with selecting host name of the router. Okay, now I press tab, so it recognizes that the user is looking for host name command. Okay, host name. Now entering your host name here, like it has visuals. Now let's change to visuals training. Now it's changed the host name as just I pressed enter. Now host name visuals training, it changes. You can see the host name here, visuals training, visual training. Okay, now a lot of configurations made, almost all configurations made under global configuration mode. So let's discuss another feature is banner. Type enough. Okay, now it recognizes that we're looking for banner. Now question mark here, what banners options are. You can select banner for line, for exec, incoming, login, message of the day. Okay, let's select message of the day. Let's see how it is, what provides. Enter any eliminating character. Okay, now press number key here. Enter the text you want to see anytime you log in. So message of the day, it's a message of the day. So let's see, welcome to visuals training. That will be more good. Visuals training. Okay, I enter visuals training here. Enter the character to end. It is end with number character. Now I have configured welcome to visuals training. Now let's see how it looks like. Log out. I have log out. Now press enter. Visual training, I changed the host name. I'm connecting through console port. Is now available. Press enter. Here you can see welcome to visuals training. So this is where we use banner. Okay, this message of the day banner provide this message to, if you, for example, you logged in from console port, using auxiliary port or VTY port. We'll discuss VTY ports in upcoming visuals, but right now we're discussing some initial commands. Okay, now we're back under user exact mode. We are not going to stay here. Just press enter. We go to configuration with terminal. Okay, we are under configuration with terminal mode. Now as I mentioned, I have only one Ethernet port here. So let's go to Ethernet port and configure our IP address. Well, before this, let me show. Let me view. For viewing, I am going back to privileged exact mode. That my interfaces are clear, or it has configured some IP addresses. Show IP interface is brief. This is the mostly used command. Just remember, it is unassigned, okay, NVRAM, and it is administratively down. So let's go to global configuration mode and configure this Ethernet IP address for this Ethernet port. Okay, now what is the command? To go to press interface, question mark here. You can see for options are available: Ethernet, dialer, BVI. So we are going to configure Ethernet port, and you can see E is unique here. It's now go to press question mark. Okay, it has only one port. Press question mark slash and another question mark. It has only 0 option. So this is where it's kind of very help. Okay, now we are under interface Ethernet mode. Okay, for assigning IP address, this is a command, just IP address, assign any IP address you want to 10.10.10.1. Okay, it is your subnet mask. We have discussed subnet masking very in detail. Press enter. Now your IP address has been configured. Now you have to enable your interface by using this command, no shutdown. Okay, now your interface has been configured. IP address has been configured. You can see link up interface is changed to straight up. Now let me show you by the same command how our interface looks like right now. Show IP interface briefly explain how my interface looks like, what IP addresses has been configured to my interface, and you can see I configured this IP address. Yes, status is up. So this is how we configure our IP addresses, kind of initial configurations. Okay, now for more functions, let's go to setting descriptions. For example, this router has only one Ethernet port. You're going to see I'll discuss switches functions separately, but right now I'm just discussing router functions. Well, you're going to see routers with more interfaces, and it would be more good if you describe that each interface is connected to what device, to where. So it will be more easy, so that you can just see viewing your configuration and type of troubling, just setting it up or setting such description, so that you can recognize that this interface is connected to that part or that thing and things like that. So let's get back to configuration mode, global configuration mode. For setting description, go to your interface ether 0/0. It has only one interface. For setting description, you can see here description command. Okay, you can set some duplexes here, full duplex, half duplex. You can see it providing exact kind of short, precise sentence, help configure half duplex and related commands. It is also very helpful. You know your stuff, you are up to go. Okay, I'm pressing any key just to disable such options, more options. Description. Okay, now description. This interface is connected to switch. You know that. Okay, just practically now it has been configured. Now you can see here it has been configured now. Okay, now I've configured the description. So let's get back to privilege mode and see what is description for our Ethernet port. Show interface. It is Ethernet 0/0. Enter. Okay, address is 10.10.10.1. You can see here your interface is working. Line protocol is down, Ethernet is up, because the connecting device is not responding. This is why we are seeing down. If the connecting device, the switch is connected to my router, if the switch is responding, so this will be work as up. And here you can see description. This interface is connected to switch. So this is where we configure our descriptions. Okay, everything is working. One thing, if you have noticed, that I am coming from global interface configuration mode to privileged exec mode for viewing my interface. This is not good. Let's get back there. Global configuration mode. Configure with terminal interface Ethernet 0/0. Okay, I configure description. Now, it is not necessary I go back to privileged exec mode to view the configuration. I can view configuration here also by putting do and show your command, show interface Ethernet 0/0. Now this version is not supporting do. Some latest iOS version will support this function. Do perform any command, perform any show command from any configuration mode, but before this, enter do command will provide you such options. Just you're operating under any interface, any configuration mode. With this do command, you're going to see all this configuration at the spot. This iOS version is not supporting this feature. It's kind of old, but new iOS versions really support this feature, and it's very nice. You stay here and configure here, and if you want to see configurations, just type do before your command and you're going to see. Okay, we have configured our interface. Now there's another term used. It is sub interface. Now interface Ethernet 0/0. For going to sub interface, press dot. It is incomplete command. Press question mark here from 024294967295. Okay, I enter 1 here. Now I am under sub interface mode. Well, sub interfaces are used for inter VLAN, something we are going to discuss under switching, where we're going to attempt such inter VLAN. And there's another there's a wide area network protocol, which is frame relay. You configure your connecting routers at the point to point using sub interfaces. So it is also important we should know that how we enter under sub interfaces. Just with your interface, press dot, and this option 1 to anything option you're going to enter under sub interface. Okay, we have configured almost IP addresses, enabling our interface by bringing up our interface by entering no shutdown command under interface, checking sub interface, host name. Well, I will configure passwords for our console line and things like that, but in later visual. It's a kind of initial configuration, so I put separate those steps because I do not include such process. It's kind of security, so we should going to discuss under different visuals. Well, let's see. Let me tell you that we are configuring under running configurations. So let's see our running configurations. Show running configurations. Press enter. Okay, now running configurations, a host name, visual, IP subnet 0. Like IP subnet is by default. It is on. It supports the first IP subnetting also. It is by default on. IP subnet 0. It allows first and last subnet, so we can use such. So we can use first and last subnets. Okay, we have made some configurations like I set description of my Ethernet interface, IP addresses, host name, and banner message of the day. We're going to discuss these line stuff in later visuals. So I still not saved this configuration. Whenever restart, I'm going to restart my router. These stuff which we have configured will just kind of flush. So we have to copy such stuff to startup config, so that whenever we restart our router, we are going to get same configuration which we have made. So by what we use for copying, just press copy here, we were operating running config, and we want to save running config to startup config. So whenever startup config will copy back to running config automatically whenever we restart the router. Now press enter. Now it is building configurations. Your configurations now has been saving and saving. Now it has been saved. So just remember, whenever you do your stuff, after that just copy such implementation which you have made to startup config to save your configurations. Just remember some important show commands, like I showed you. Show running config. Okay, you can use short words. It will show you all your running configuration and things like that. Okay, there's another one, show IP interface brief, very famous command, just brief you regarding your interface. I enabled the sub interface. You can see now it is also showing. Okay, now you can see here your interface is showing briefly. It is very commonly used command, very important, very nice one. Okay, now there's another command, show history. History will show me the commands which I have used recently. Most recently I used this show history command. Before this I used this command, and this command. So it is also very nice one, show history command. Okay, another thing, another command is to check your version. Okay, as I mentioned at the start, such configuration has been showed. You can see this is your file. It is your iOS file showing you the version. The configuration is which we have discussed. It is by default 0x2102. The version is showing which version you are using for your iOS, the bootstrap version 11.3 and things like that. We can see further briefly. It provides information of your router. One interface, 32 KB provided for non-volatile. It's showing that 32 KB is for non-volatile configuration memory, 8 MB for flash memory. More importantly, you can see it's showing you your exact version of your iOS, version of your iOS and your iOS file. You can see here. I'll show you all such stuff while installing, backing up configurations and such iOS file and things like that. You can see more configuration register. Just put this command, you're going to get your configuration register also. Press space, that's it. It is kind of very short explanation of such command. Okay, another thing I did not tell you. Let's get back to configure terminal mode. Go to your interface. Okay, I've configured IP address to make your disable to just off that IP address. I used command IP address and things like that. 10.10.10.1 and subnet mask. Well, I'm going to tell you two things here. Well, I'm on very last of this line. To get quicker to the start of this line, you can use Ctrl plus A. You are on the start of this line. If you want to go back quickly, if you press this arrow key, it will take time. So Ctrl plus A, you are on the start. Ctrl plus E, you're on the end of the line. So what I'm going to tell you, okay, this is the function. You can use these Ctrl plus A, Ctrl plus E for such commands while you are kind of long line commands. So getting to the start of the command, use Ctrl A, and end use Ctrl E. Kind of very quick. So what I'm going to tell you right here now, if you want to just disable such IP address, now press no in the front of this command. Press enter. The IP address which I have configured a bit earlier in the visual is disabled now, deconfigured now. So let me show you. Go back to exact mode. Show IP interface brief, so it is unassigned. You can use I did not no shutdown. I did not press shutdown commands to just down the status, so this is why it is up. Go press shutdown command, the interface will be shut down. So this is where we disable such configurations. Okay, let's have a quick view. Okay, now press enter. We are under user exec mode. Enable. We are under preview exec mode. Wanna see your running configuration? Show running configuration. It is showing your running configuration. Have a quick look. Okay, host name is okay. IP70 allows me first and last subnet mask to use. It is by default on. Okay. Now wanna go to configure terminal. Okay, don't like the host name. Just change it back to visuals. More okay. Change it back to visuals. Where is I? Okay, visuals, sorry. Okay, now it is changed. Get back. Wanna change settings you made. Copy running config to startup config. Enter. Your configuration has been made and things are almost done. So this is where we use our iOS very helpful. I've discussed configuring IP addresses, subnet IPs, or sub interfaces, host names. You can use banners, discuss what kind of help it provides, putting question mark at the right spot, any spot. Okay, another thing which I did not mention here. For example, if you are configuring your router, okay, now you wanna use to configure your routing protocol, which we're going to discuss in later visual under routing section. So router, you don't know right spelling of EIGRP. You forgot the spelling of EIGRP. So what you're doing here, you misspelled EIGRP. Like you're in a hurry, you pressed EIGRP. So it is going to point out exactly where you are mistaking. So this is also very useful help. You do not want to spend time that why it is not accepting, why it is invalid. So it is point you out your command EIGRP where is wrong. Now router EIGRP, because I did not mention autonomous system number, that is why it is showing me such things. Now I am under router configuration mode, EIGRP routing configuration mode. We're going to discuss all such stuff, but in later visuals according to objectives. So almost done. Initial configurations. Be confident with your command. Practice iOS. Check the press question mark again and again. Play with your iOS so that you can feel comfortable. With this, I am concluding this visual. We have discussed initial configuration. We have played with iOS. Checked the help systems, IP addresses setting, things like that, descriptions. If you feel any problem, just replay these visuals and be prepared for upcoming visuals. Thank you.